all. My name is Finley Schulze, and I am part of the 11th grade girls' life group. And I go to Fletcher High School. Go Senators. So, to get us started tonight, I'm going to ask you guys a fun little would you rather question, get you thinking. So, would you rather stub your toe, which no one likes, right? Or, all in the same day, have your house collapse, all your family die, and lose all your prized possessions? Well, in the Bible, there is a man named Job. He was considered the greatest man of the East, had undoubted faith in the Lord, and a life full of blessings. One day, Satan approached the Lord and said that Job was only faithful because of the amazing life he had laid before him, that if faced with hardship, Job's faith would falter. The Lord agreed to test this and allowed Satan control of what was to occur in Job's life. So quickly after, Job had all of his livestock, servants, and children pass away. His house also collapsed on the same exact day. But Job did not lose faith. Job chapter 1 verse 20 says, "At this Job got up, tore off his robe, shaved his head, and then fell to the ground in worship." Unconvinced, Satan decided that Job himself must be harmed in order to truly test him. So, again, the Lord agreed, and Job's whole body broke out in painful sores. It got to the point where Job was taking broken pottery to try and scrape himself to get rid of them. Even through this, Job maintained his faith. His wife, alongside all of his friends, questioned this. They encouraged him to just turn his back on the Lord. They were rude to him and said he was being punished, that this was his fault. And eventually, Job himself also began to have his doubts. He was wondering why a man as righteous as himself would be suffering so much. Job says in chapter 30, verses 20 through 22, "I cry out to you, God, but you do not answer. I stand up, but you merely look at me. You turn on me ruthlessly. With the might of your hand, you attack me. You snatch me up and drive me before the wind. You toss me about in the storm." Job doesn't doubt the Lord's power. He just feels as though he's been overlooked and forgotten by the Lord. And I don't know about you all, but I have definitely felt very similar to Job. I have not always lived here in the Sunshine State of Florida, and I actually moved here a bit over 3 years ago from just outside of Baltimore, Maryland. And in Maryland, I personally really struggled socially. I just could not seem to make a friend and felt very isolated because of this. So this led to a prayer that started all the way back in 2019, the prayer for a friend. However, I received no answer at the time, and if anything, felt that my situation was only getting worse. Just like Job, I felt overlooked and forgotten by the Lord. Both of us, however, could not have been more wrong. Although we have to wait for answers, the Lord is beside us and has a plan for us. In Job's case, the Lord came to him in a storm and reminded Job of who he was. This reminds Job that the Lord is watching over him and that Job might see the trees surrounding him, but the Lord is able to see the entire forest. He knows exactly where Job's path is and knows exactly where it is headed. Chapter 42, verse 1 through 2 says, "Then Job replied to the Lord, 'I know that you can do all things.' And later in verse 5, 'My ears have heard you, but now my eyes have seen you.' The Lord then calls Job to pray over his friends who mistreated him, and in verse 10, after Job prayed for his friends, the Lord restored his fortunes and gave him twice what he had before. The Lord's plan for us contains so much more than we could ever imagine. For Job, it was double what he had before in his life. And in my case, it was my dad receiving a random call from his work that we were to move to Jacksonville, Florida. Funny enough, we were actually on vacation at the beach, in the sand on Jack's Beach when he got this phone call. So we finished our trip, went home, sold our house, and quickly after, we're on our way. And immediately, I had my prayer from 2019 answered in late 2021. But rather than just being given a friend, I was given an entire community. If you'd asked 12-year-old me if I ever would have expected to be living in Florida, I would say absolutely not. However, it has quickly proven to be one of the biggest blessings I've ever had in my life. The Lord not only has a plan for you, but he has one that is more than you could ever ask for. God is listening to your every prayer and knows exactly how he plans to fulfill them. I encourage you to have patience and perseverance in your prayers because of this. Whether for you that means writing them down so you can look back on them, putting a note in your phone so you get a reminder, or even putting a sticky note on your mirror so you see it every morning and every night. Whatever it takes you to be persistent. Jeremiah 29:11 states, "If you believe, you will receive what you ask for in prayer." Proverbs 3:5 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight." Have faith in your prayers and have faith in his plan.